welcome to the second episode of Girl Talk with Girl Spot. So, this week you guys might notice that we don't have three of our normal hosts. One of our other hosts, our final kiss, is actually having surgery on May the 2nd, so send her some good thoughts, send her some good prayers, and wish her a speedy recovery. We love you, Kiss.
Some of us do.
Data doesn't. Data can't stand her.
Obviously. So, let's actually do a proper introduction. Yes, that wasn't a proper introduction, technically. Welcome to Girl Talk with Girl Spot, the podcast run by women and a gremlin, dedicated to talking all things games, books, and movies. So, this week, we're going to be talking about gatekeeping. And to start, we're not going to start talking about that right away because that's kind of a rough topic-ish. Can be. My name is
What's your name? What's your name?
My name is I go by Oracle Arcana. You guys can call me Arc. That's usually what I go by these days. Shut up, Data. Timeless.
I'm Timeless Storm. Most people call me Timeless. The rare person calls me Storm. I'm good with either.
We have two guests with us today, in lieu of our third host. We have DGUK. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bud.
Hi, I'm DGUK, or used to be Data Games UK, or just Data.
And why would people know you?
People would probably know me from the GSG community, or Twitch, or just randomly running on Twitter.
And also, you make fantastic music, which was
I'm also an owner of a record label that's copyright free for all streamers and content creators to use on YouTube and Twitch.
And to that end, our opening and exiting music, our intro and outro, are also made by him. That is Peeker's Advantage, if you guys are interested in it.
I realised I spelt it wrong in the file name, but never mind.
It happens.
It does happen. Where is that available to download, Data?
So you can download all the files at themetal.co.uk/sessions. You can search DGUK on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, and Amazon Music if you just want playlists.
And then our other guest tonight is That One Fangirl, otherwise known as Tofu.
It's that one or that other fangirl, because usually one or the other is available. Haha! But nah, I mostly game. I've been doing a lot of knitting and crocheting streaming, which has been fun.
I feel like I need to go follow you.
You should.
Maybe. I only stream once a week, though, every Monday. But most people know me as my dad's oldest daughter. Because out of everyone in the family, he's the one that got the most famous.
I mean, with good reason.
Yeah, I mean, he's only a multi-published author and also used to run a haunted house.
Yeah, a very well-known haunted house.
Who's your dad?
My dad is Mark Muncy. The book series that he is most well-known for is the Eerie, Florida series. It has Eerie, Florida, Freaky, Florida, and Creepy, Florida. Yes, in that order, and there is a fourth one on the way.
Eerie, Florida's one I read, isn't it?
What?
Eerie, Florida's the one I read, right? That's the first one?
The first one is Freaky, Florida, but there were other books before that, where he had...
What's the one that you lent me a while back?
I don't know.
I think that might have been Eerie, Florida.
It might have been. They are all about the weird myths and legends of Florida, because Florida Man had to get it from somewhere.
Florida Man!
It's true. The other thing with that one or that other fangirl, otherwise known as Tofu, you will hear me refer to her as that a lot, is
It's either Tofu or Fangirl, depending on how comfy you are with either one of those names.
Is that Tofu is actually a good friend of mine in real life.
Yes. We have been good friends for years. Not as long as you've been friends with my fiance, Zodiac Siren, but a pretty long time.
Fairly long. Anyway, so today we're going to be starting to talk about gatekeeping in gaming and in the convention sphere. Which is going to be kind of an interesting one. But first, what games has everyone been playing lately?
I've been playing the Miitopia demo because that's been fun. I
need to download that.
Yeah, it's a free demo right now. It's going to be like a full $60 game soon because, oddly enough, I found out while I was playing this, there's been like this whole underground of people that really love the Mii games. Like, you guys remember Tomodachi Life for the 3DS? Apparently there's like a cult following for it.
Is there?
Nice.
Yeah, for some reason. But also I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing and a lot of mobile games. But I did get my hands on Stubbs the Zombie and got to play that with my dad because I played that when I was a kid.
Nice.
Oddly enough, not a very violent game. The only violent thing about it is you're a zombie and sometimes you take off your own body parts to do things.
It's gonna be $50.
Interesting.
Okay, my bad. I was $10 off. But yeah, it's gonna be like a full game.
Nice.
So I mean, just Miitopia. Miitopia.
Yeah, it's probably like one of the most popular demos to download right now. Because of said cult following. I don't know why it exists, but it's fascinating.
Either way, it's not downloading on my Switch.
Don't look at me just going searching it on my Switch right now.
That's what I just did, actually. That's why I'm just like...
Okay, podcast over.
I saw it trending on Twitter, and I was like, okay, well, I tend to follow Twitter trends a lot because I watch Minecraft YouTubers because political drama block game fun.
That's fair.
So,
yeah,
that was fun to discover.
CG, what have you been playing?
Obviously, I play a lot of shooters, so I've been...
not at all.
I've been spamming Apex Legends and Valorant a lot this last month. And I'm weird though, but in my own time, I play a lot of simulator games, so I've been playing a lot of Railway Empire, where I can just vegetate, just make train tracks and watch trains, like... I'm obviously just going back to some silly 6-year-old little boy that just wants to line things up and watch trains go around. That's what I do.
Or make them crash.
That's the same as like
none of my trains crash. I have perfect signals.
That's the same thing as every 60-year-old man building model trains in his basement.
Yeah, that's going to be the
digital
loft
version of that.
Yeah.
I mean, to the same
end.
I
think Hornby went out of business last year, so I was a little bit gutted because that was like my childhood train set goal, life goal. Have a big Hornby train set.
I mean, that's in the same vein of playing Roller Coaster Tycoon just so you can drown all the people that...
Yeah.
Oh. You know, if I want to drown people, I'm probably going to play The Sims, to be honest.
I mean, that's another way you can do it, too.
But it's just many ways you can play God.
Jurassic World Evolution, just put as many dinosaurs as you can in one cage.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Or Zoo Tycoon, releasing all the lions.
I actually had a Zoo Tycoon experience that traumatized me as a child. I was trying to expand my tiger cage, and I did the proper thing where I put the new fence on top of what the old fence was going to be, but it went into where the people were walking, and so I accidentally unleashed tigers onto paying customers.
Oops. Accidentally.
As long as they'd paid before they came in.
Yeah, they did.
I know one of the games I saw you be playing recently, Timeless, was the new Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, I just started it today. And
I need to get myself that game.
It's got all the nostalgia and new things that you could ask for. It's got the new Pokemon. There's some old characters that come visit. It's fun. It's very nostalgic.
So you need to explain this to me a little bit more, because I haven't watched Pokemon since I was 16.
Okay.
Right? I'm 37. So I watched like the first Pokemon, watched the first movie, and then I think I sort of just went outside. My life kind of changed a little bit. I don't know what happened.
You just went outside and touched grass.
Yeah, I went outside, got drunk, got lost. Who knows what happened?
And we'll be right back. I should go check on some dogs.
Like, what is Pokemon Snap? Because I watched you for a little while earlier.
I can explain, because I played the original Pokemon Snap in the N64 days. It was originally a game where you just went on a safari and took pictures of Pokemon, and sometimes you would throw apples at them or other things at them to get them to do other things. Now, granted, it does get a little boring for someone that's used to like the normal Pokemon games where it's an adventure and there's new things all the time and you don't have to repeat everything. But this game, it's very repetitive. It's one of those games where you can basically just veg out and be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like Pokemon Snapchat.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. It's like an upgraded version of if you go in Pokemon Go and you take pictures of your Pokemon, it's that, but in completely digital worlds, not just altered reality.
And there's also an actual point to doing it.
Yeah. And this time you can actually send them via social media.
That's true.
Ooh.
And they're developing like a new printer for... Yeah, and they're developing a printer for the Nintendo Switch, but if you have a USB-C to USB dongle, you can just connect any other printer to your Nintendo Switch and you should be fine.
I'm gonna print all of the Pokemon pictures.
But you're gonna print your photos out.
Totally.
Yeah, people can do that.
I mean, once I get around to it, I will more than likely be sharing my favorite Pokemon pictures to Twitter.
As you do.
Oh yeah.
Like that's gonna be a thing that I do. I know. Yeah. I did notice, like, before, if you go into the your screenshots on the Switch, like, you could upload it straight to social media. But now I noticed it has a thing where you can get it to your phone and you don't have to put it on social media.
Yeah. Instead of having
I saw that.
That makes life so much easier if you want to be like, I want to document the reconstruction of my Animal Crossing island.
Yeah, which is what I've been doing.
I need to redo
the idea of getting a Switch, but
I need to do.
I just want to play Mario. Just nostalgia. That's all I want to do.
I mean, if you want to do that, get a Switch
Mario
Lite.
All-Stars.
That's what I did.
Oh, if I'm going to buy one, I have to buy a Switch. Like, I'm going to buy something like that, I have to go all in or nothing. Like, I'm going.
Remember
that stream it then with the dock, and then I can connect it to my capture card. I might as well.
Remember the premise: you can't get 3D All Stars anymore for Mario.
I forgot.
Oh no!
So,
I have no idea what that is.
I forgot.
This was actually a brilliant marketing tactic by Nintendo. They marketed 3D Mario All Stars as being the game that came out with the advent of Super Mario's 30th anniversary. Their 30th anniversary started last year, so the event was running year long. So they actually had a deadline on when you could buy Super Mario All Stars because it's no longer going to be on the shelves at any game store. It's not even in the Nintendo Switch store anymore. So it's a brilliant marketing tactic by Nintendo to do that. The date for that was March 31st. Now, which is there any other games I'll talk about that a little bit more after this, but is there any other games you've been playing lately, Timeless?
I just started replaying Life is Strange 2.
Ooh.
Which I played the first episode in, how long was that game out? 2018, 2019? And I just...
Something like that.
Yeah.
Replayed it and actually have the whole game, so I've actually been streaming that on the GSG channel, except for today.
Oh, nice.
Today was Pokemon Snap, but next Saturday.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, Timeless, you've also found a new addiction.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I know.
It's bad.
Of all the first-person shooters to get into.
All of them. You could have had taste. You could have gone with Halo.
I love Halo. I do. I was always Halo's way better than Call of Duty. And then
good.
Brian,
you have the correct opinion.
My husband, his friend got Call of Duty, and was always playing it. And they like to play games together. And Brian's like, hey, can I buy Call of Duty? And I'm like, no, you're not spending money on Call of Duty. That game is garbage. I call it Call of Poopy. And he bought it, or no, his friend bought it for him.
You can't stop the gift.
Yeah. And, they were having a lot of fun. I was like, I like playing games with them, so I did it. I bought the game, and I'm really enjoying it. If anyone's like, oh, that game's so dumb, that game is crap, I'm not going to disagree, but I am enjoying it. And
what else did you do? What else? What followed after that?
I bought the Battle Pass.
And what happened after that? Timeless.
What? You're gonna enable Activision?
You also gifted somebody else said game, which then forced me to have to buy that game.
Oh yeah, I bought Kiss the game, and then Kiss got Data to buy the game.
Yeah, it's a cult. Is what
You're never gonna catch me dead playing Call of Duty ever.
I used to feel
the only way I will play Call of Duty is if I'm getting it for free from the PlayStation Store. That's the only way I will.
That's the only way I'll get it. Understand.
I mean, to be fair, at the start of lockdown, obviously at the start of lockdown, well, start of COVID last year, me and my friends, we all bought Modern Warfare, and that was like our first lockdown game where because we'd always played like for years. So me and my friends, I've known some of the people I've been gaming with 15, 16 years.
That's fair.
Like we've grown up together. We went to LANs back in the day. I remember carting my PC in a suitcase to LANs to go play Counter-Strike for weekends. Like that's what we've all grown up together. Now we're all rising to 40 now, and that was what it's probably longer. 17 years. I was in my 20s then.
Oh man, I miss LAN parties.
And so we've gone from Counter-Strike, and we went to Valorant, and we had a bit of a timeout in the beginning of like first lockdown last year. It was like let's play something different. So we all just played Plunder for hours because we had nothing better to do. Like we thought let's play something different. So to be fair, I have spent £50 on a computer game before.
I do actually play more Valorant. I do have it. I haven't played much of it.
You've been playing it on the sly?
Huh? No,
I
haven't.
It on the fly, on hiding.
No, I do. I've done the training, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Valorant's just Counter-Strike with spells.
It's pretty. It reminds me, to be honest, it reminds me more of Overwatch, though, too.
Yeah, it's got an Overwatch feel.
Concept, like the shooting mechanics and the game concept is CS, like it is, the way the hitboxes are and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, planting the bomb, defuse the bomb, defend the bomb,
Yeah.
You have spells.
I got sucked back into nostalgia recently with playing Final Fantasy X and playing Ocarina of Time, which I've been doing a lot of that on stream. And actually, to the point I was making earlier with Nintendo didn't make much of a fuss for Legend of Zelda this year, even though it's Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary this year, actually.
I think
35 years of Zelda. No, they're waiting. They were waiting because Super Mario's and Legend of Zelda are kind of around the same time frame. Their anniversaries are around the same time frame. So obviously they wanted to wait for the hype for Mario to be over. And there's actually been leaks. I don't know how accurate these leaks are, and I don't know if they're actual leaks or if they were planned leaks. Mm-hmm. But Skyward Sword HD is coming out on the Switch on July 16th. We've known that one for a while. Mm-hmm. There is rumors, these are supposed leaks, that Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, all are being ported to the Switch. My phone is not in here. Because I actually had it up on my phone. I had a screenshot on my phone of what's coming, which games they were doing that was supposedly being leaked. And, I mean, we've been hearing this rumor for a while, since 2019, but a lot of people are thinking that we're going to get a lot more gameplay of Breath of the Wild 2 this year at E3.
Hope so.
Because
that makes sense.
Nintendo's going to have a presence at E3. It's going to be virtual, so you won't get to see a lot of it, but you'll get to see the hype. And they're thinking that the hype will be you'll see more of Breath of Skyward Sword. There's going to be a release of the Nintendo Switch Pro, which looks pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to finish it off by releasing a lot more gameplay, a lot more stuff about Breath of the Wild 2. One of the YouTubers I follow that's a Hyrule Legend of Zelda theorist is that the game is actually going to come out end of this year, beginning of next year. So we might see Breath of the Wild 2, not the actual sequel title, by the end of first quarter next year, which would be amazing.
I still need
Sounds
to
like fun.
beat Breath of the Wild 1.
I beat Breath of the Wild 1 recently. Or, I beat Ganon recently.
My
You know,
father-in-law apparently has my copy.
I bought Majora's Mask when it came out on 3DS, and then I never beat it because I found it was hard, and I like having fun when I play games, and I'm bad at games.
Well, and it's funny that you say that. It is funny that... That's not the one. That's really not the one I wanted. Where is that freaking rumor? It's funny that you say that.
Mm-hmm.
Majora's Mask is really a game that is not meant to be, strictly speaking, fun.
Yeah. I just
It's
bought
meant
it because you know me, creepypastas. I thought it would be fun.
Yeah. It is meant to be fun to an extent, but even with just the source material, it's not really meant to be a fun topic.
Oh no,
Because-
I knew it wouldn't be fun like that. I just thought the gameplay would be fun.
Where is it?
And then I was wrong.
I don't know the story of Majora's Mask. I have never played it.
I only know the creepypasta that surrounds it. I don't know
Ben
like the
Drowned.
whole story.
Actually, did you
I
know?
love Ben Drowned.
Did you know that is not actually a creepypasta? That is a full-on ARG.
Wait, he's got a full-on ARG going on? Well, he's
Not
not
going on,
creepypasta and have an ARG.
It finished last year. There's 3 separate arcs to that ARG, and just like a friend of mine sent me them, and just like I got through the first one just fine because I knew that the first one is the original Ben Drowned story. It's like, yeah, okay, that one, the cartridge story. It's like, yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
And then there's the truth file, or the truth text file has things in it that lead into the second arc, which is on its own. I'll send you the link for that later.
Please,
please
do.
Just like I got through that one, I'm just like, Jesus, this is a lot. The third one I haven't even got. I started reading. It's like, I can't get through this. It's just a lot of information. There's 3 wiki pages for it. It's just like the third one's just like, it's a lot. It's a lot of information.
I guess I'll have to look into that to expand my collection of Ben Drowned TikToks, because apparently I've become the creepypasta teacher, and I really need to get back to my lesson plan.
Lesson
Bro,
plan.
I haven't uploaded like seriously on TikTok in months.
I need to actually do my I need to actually start doing TikToks again, because I actually do have a thought for how I want to do TikToks, because I want to do, I got the ocarina recently.
Yeah.
Are you TikToks playing the ocarina?
I'm gonna do it in Malin cosplay. So like the character from Ocarina of Time, Malin.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing songs on the ocarina on TikTok.
Nice.
Yay.
I need to go on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I watch a lot of TikTok because I get sent links to watch. I must be on it.
Originally, I joined it when it was called Musical.ly, and I joined it as a joke. I joined it as a meme, and then I did the thing that I'm always destined to do when I join a thing as a meme. It is destined to become serious. That's just 80% of the fandoms that I'm in now. Is just I initially joined as a joke, and now I'm serious about it.
More or less, yes.
Oh yeah.
Has anybody tried YouTube Shorts then? Speaking of TikTok yet?
Excuse me, what?
YouTube,
so
what now?
YouTube have done their own TikTok called YouTube Shorts.
I am not.
Oh, God.
It's going to explode. You know that, right?
What is YouTube short?
I
So
have
it's
heard about that.
60-second videos on YouTube. Because obviously most of YouTube is called medium to long form content, right?
Yeah.
When you say
how it works is, so the biggest problem with YouTube is like the kind of content you upload to it.
Mhm.
Like it needs to be sort of made for YouTube. So when you upload, a lot of people will upload gameplay or Twitch clips.
Mhm.
right.
They generally don't perform well on YouTube unless your name's Shroud, right? Because unless you are an esports player, like if you're going to upload kills to YouTube, if I uploaded kills to YouTube from Apex or whatever, nobody's going to go, I wonder how many kills Data got today, because nobody gives a crap, right?
Right.
So that the algorithm will only ever work for like ex-pros, current pros, or people that are well known for being very good. So it's like, so when you make YouTube content from that sort of point of view, you've got to like think about like make it for YouTube and maybe add game over commentary or something, or make it more of a joke. That makes sense. Or make it, you know, it's got to be anything other than raw kills, because raw kills, unless you are insane and known for being insane, you're just gonna, you know,
Right.
or unless you have a particular talent that you are going to be very good, then fair enough.
When you say explode, do you
YouTube
mean-
Shorts is a great way to use Twitch clips or anything like that, because it work with the YouTube and Google algorithm, and people will browse through Shorts. And
I feel like, as someone that is still kind of more of an observer on YouTube than uploading, because everything that I've uploaded is just vlogs that like barely get any views, which I'm not mad about. But I feel like that's not going to go over well, because the algorithm is going to go all over the place, because they're trying to appease kids while also appeasing the adults. And it's just...
yeah, but the YouTube creation
Google doesn't know
algorithm
what they're
separates kids from adults. Because that's
Yeah.
when you tick the box for under over 18.
Yes.
Even then, there are ways around it, and
There are, but it's the best
it's
algorithm in the world, like by miles.
yeah, but it's still not good.
Oh,
in my-
I'm not sure how well that'll actually work. It might.
Well, when there's a possibility, so this is like, so from like me, and I obviously live for this shit, right? Like this is me through and through. There's
Right.
a possibility 2021, Twitch has either got to sort its shit out, or it will die.
Yeah. No, I
Twitch
agree.
is
Yeah.
probably gonna die.
Because YouTube are doing bits now, yeah? They've got
Yeah,
that
I know.
going on. Their live streaming content is exploding. And they're
That's
going
true.
to re-algorithm and all that, and it's going to be mental. Like, the Doc's over there, Courage is over there now, Harris Heller went there last week, Ashley's gone there now, and there's loads of other massive Twitch streamers slowly filtering off to
Really?
YouTube now.
Really, the only
Yeah.
thing keeping Twitch alive right now is Minecraft YouTubers.
It's the community
And
that
even
holds it
then-
together. That's what it's always been. With Twitch, it's the community of the people that holds it together. The only reason why people stay here is because of that. Yeah, because it's probably got some of the best people, but those people have no influence on where Twitch goes.
Right.
It's just holding each other together. And
Yeah.
there's loads of issues with Twitch, like the way they handle situations is not very good. Part of it's because the person that runs Twitch is not actually a social media person at all. It's like it's like me that's never flipped a burger before to go run McDonald's, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is, the company that took over Twitch, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, Amazon's is a giant, and they're known for taking over lots of corporations and handling it very well. Twitch is another animal altogether. They don't care about Twitch. They absolutely do not care. They can die for all they care, because they're not getting all that much funding, or they're not getting all that much revenue from it. So if Twitch dies in their books.
And you know, Twitch exists for Amazon to sell Amazon Prime memberships.
More or less.
That's so every meeting that, like, when Twitch have an idea, or the hierarchy have an idea, and they go to Amazon, say they need money, the first reply they get, okay, how's that going to get us more Prime subs? That's the first question they have.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Because, like, so that's why YouTube, the biggest reason why YouTube will do more bits, because YouTube exists to make money on the internet. Amazon exists to sell physical goods to the world. It's two very different industries, you know, like, and that's where they clash, and that's where Twitch has kind of fallen behind, and that's where Amazon is kind of, well, Google and YouTube is going to go. Like,
Yeah.
Actually,
it's a
I
big
mean-
fear for Twitch this year.
And one of my friends actually she made the decision. She used to be a Twitch streamer fully. She actually made the decision September of last year. Ladybug, it's Ladybug Queen Timeless. She used to be a Twitch streamer, but she made a decision to go over to YouTube last year. It was one of the big things that Twitch announced it was one of the DMCA things last year that they were to YouTube. Because even if you were playing, even if you had the in-game music, Twitch was muting your stream.
Muting it?
It was being muted. YouTube doesn't do that.
It does. The difference is YouTube spent over £1 billion on its music software to detect copyright, and Twitch spent nothing and used a very cheap version of Audible, which is on the lowest setting possible, so it hardly mutes anything. Or when it does, it mutes the wrong thing because it sounds slightly similar to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun. My favorite.
The in-game, but if you're playing a game and say because she's a big sim Twitch streamer. It was muting the game music. It was if you have any ambient noise that's in the game that can be copyright.
Yeah.
Sorry, dog just over here. Twitch would still mute that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You could get checked for that, and just I'm done with Twitch if that's how they're gonna be with that.
That's the Audible software running on it.
My favorite instance of Twitch doing that live, not even on a VOD, live, was when Metallica did a concert.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They were playing their own music, and then they covered it over with jaunty little 8-bit loop music.
Was that on the VOD? That's because Twitch don't own a sync license.
Yeah, it wasn't on the VOD though. It was live.
Okay, yeah, that's probably
it was so bad.
So Twitch don't. Yeah, so it's the music things, the way Twitch have handled it is particularly bad. They've handled it at the bare minimum level.
Yeah. Because they don't care.
Well, they do. The problem is they do care. Is they're just not. They do care. They're unprepared. They're unprepared for a situation that they seem to think they could ignore for ages. So now, basically, what's happening behind Twitch is they're all running around like knobheads and don't know what to do with themselves. They're panicking and making a mess of a situation. And if you remember, 10 years ago, YouTube was this close from actually you waking up one day and YouTube could have never existed 10 years ago because they went through the same process 10 years ago. The difference is they went, okay, right, what do we do? Right, we've got to invest money in this. We've got to have audio detection software. Everything's got to be of our own doing. They invested loads of money on it, and look at YouTube now, it's massive. Twitch don't have that.
It also doesn't hurt that Google is a social media giant to in their own sense, and they took over YouTube.
Yeah. RIP Google Plus.
So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's Twitch. The biggest problem with Twitch is they weren't prepared software-wise. They weren't prepared infrastructure-wise. They basically got hammered by a million and one record labels. Went, okay, one day, bosh, we're going after you. So Twitch just went, oh my. It's like waking up in the morning and having 1 million complaints emails, and one person sitting at home working from home, going, oh my fucking god. What do I do with all this? And they just lost their shit. And then a big panic went on. Even their statements that they released on Twitter were helpful, but not helpful at the same time. They kind of didn't know where I almost felt sorry for them a little bit because it's you don't know what you're doing right now. Maybe you were best off saying nothing right now or just going, we're trying to sort it, bear with us, not gibbery jash, just gibbery goop that was released across the platform. And the biggest problem is they didn't educate content creators properly. Even to this day, I go through Twitter and people still don't understand the difference between a copyright strike and being a muted VOD on Twitch. They don't know the difference, and they think it's all one thing. And even now, they needed to educate people on it because then a lot of people generally lose their shit, especially on Twitter, about nothing that's irrelevant to them. And it makes me laugh in the end. I think, why don't you go and read it for yourself, and then you're losing your shit about something that's not really going to affect you either. And I think that's where Twitch could have been a bit helpful to people to calm everybody down a little bit. My biggest gripe right now with it all is people still playing copyright music on Twitch and thinking they can. There's this weird thing going around now with OBS where you can bypass the VOD, so you can play music live, but it won't record your VOD on OBS. And so you can send the music down a different voice channel, but and people think that's going to get away with it. No, because they're literally going to be banning you live. Like it's if they can hear that's happening. That's a thing, right?
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing people can do right now. As much as Twitch aren't behaving themselves, is just stop it. Like if you like. My biggest argument, if you like Twitch and you want it to survive beyond 2021, just stop doing it. Like you're not sticking it to the man by playing music. Like who do you think you're sticking it to? Yourself, really. You just could do yourself over in the end. Like people are like, oh yeah, they get enough money anyway, but it's not the point. If somebody played your stuff without your permission, you'd be irritated. If somebody took your Twitch VOD and went and pretended it was you, and monetized your Twitch VOD on YouTube, regardless of how big or small you are, you'd be pissed. Like, because you don't have the permission to, and that's why copyright exists. Okay, granted, it's out of date now. Like I think it's 1999. The last law was written. It's out of date and it's completely out of whack. But just don't do it. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah. The thing that got me really thinking about how outdated it was the fact that this really didn't happen. This really didn't kick off until lockdown started. For everyone was suddenly all the concerts were canceled, all the albums were delayed, all of everything that the labels control were suddenly halted, so they had to find something else to make money from. And so suddenly DMCA claims, and if the music industry had really seen that, hey, we weren't claiming these were ours, we aren't trying to perform these as our own, we're just trying to spread the good music that you make, the music industry would just, I would think, as a logical person that just listens to music on Spotify, that they would kind of slow down, see what's going on, and then maybe work something out with the content creators directly. But But because Twitch decided to absolutely lose their minds over this, instead of what you said YouTube did, which was figure something out, because of that, a lot of people have been getting DMCA strikes, getting muted VODs, and it's just been awful. I just think we need to get rid of record labels in general, but that's just because I think everyone would be better off if we just published directly to Spotify or directly to Apple Music. Because what are these record labels, while getting us like good groups together, aren't really doing much good anyway. I just think they need to step up their game because of what's happened. And when I say they, I mean everyone needs to step up their game when it comes to this.
Yeah. You're also assuming that that record labels can be benevolent.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that people in suits tend to be not so nice.
More or less.
I think part of it is because the world's moving so fast now, and then laws get written and they become very out of date very quickly. And then they're also still being, you always makes me think of when you see Zuckerberg, isn't it, sitting in court with the men asking him questions about Facebook, and he has no answer because the question is that like irrelevant. It's like, what am I supposed to like his mind's just his brain. You can see his brain going, have you held a mouse before? Like what kind of question is this? Like it doesn't. It's like two different people trying to sort something out that they can't. There's no relation there.
You're literally seeing two people from two very different generations trying to find a middle ground, and that middle ground just doesn't exist because of how different those generations are.
That's what I was going to say too. Unfortunately, with the way our government system is, much of the time, the ones who end up being in Congress, being in the Senate, being anywhere where you can make something happen, they tend to be they tend to have been in Congress, in the Senate, for 40 years.
Yeah.
And they don't understand how times have changed. Yes, they see it happening, but
it doesn't register.
It's not registering in their brains because their brains are it's not that their brains aren't working. They clearly do. You have to have some form of intelligence. academic intelligence to be in a seat of power.
They have intelligence, not wisdom.
Yeah. But their academic knowledge is stunted. They chose at some point to stop learning. Whereas our world, because our world is constantly changing, it's not going to work very well. The generations, there needs to be younger people on these judiciary boards.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is those people that always learn and always do that, they're out doing other things. They are your Mark Zuckerbergs. They ain't going to go to politics. They're too busy making money. Like, they have a choice to make, and they go, do I want that or do I want that? And 90% are going to go, actually quite fancy that over there, And I think that's where you get as well, those forward-thinking people generally go and make it for themselves because they can't be asked.
They don't have delayed gratification.
Yeah. Well, and some of it, I mean, you see some politicians, it always makes me laugh when you see politicians when they start and when they come out at the end, they look like they've aged about 150 years in the space of 10. I'm sure some of these people look at that and go,
I mean, you like what happened to former President Barack Obama, where he was only in office for 4 years and he looked like he aged 8 years, my bad, like 50 years.
Everyone was commenting on that.
Old.
The thing is, you can see that in every single president. If you look at a picture of George W. Bush before he went into office, like the day he went into office, and 9 years later, technically, the day he left the Oval Office, there is a stark difference. If you look at Clinton, same thing.
Our last president, the only reason you
had the same thing.
The reason you don't see that much of a difference is because he just put on more spray tan.
Well, yeah, I was just saying. I
think he was a bit more vain about his appearance. I think
he was
only a little bit.
We got off topic, but
that's what we do.
But you know what? That's the girl topic, girl spot way.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I was just thinking that when we were talking. So hang on a minute.
Huh?
I was thinking that when we were talking. I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What's the topic of the episode?
I'll tell you.
So, the topic of the episode, as I've said a few times already, is gatekeeping within the gaming and convention communities.
Oh boy.
So, the definition of gatekeeping, as the true definition, is the activity of controlling and usually limiting general access to something. That is per the Oxford Language Dictionary. The Urban Dictionary definition of gatekeeping: when someone takes it upon themselves to decide who does or does not have access or rights to a community or identity.
Ooh.
Now, I mean, there's other places we can talk about gatekeeping as well. Trans gatekeeping, LGBTQ in general gatekeeping. I mean, there's gatekeeping no matter where you go.
But there's literally like a whole subreddit on just people gatekeeping other things. Terrifying.
But we're focusing more today because that's what we're all familiar with, and that's what GSG is mostly built on, gaming. And because a lot of us do cosplay in the GSG community and or some form of cosplay, we have nerd culture in our blood in GSG. We're also going to talk about it in convention scenes. I know some of us haven't gone to conventions a lot, or we generally haven't had that much experience with it, but yeah, so we know of several different forms of gatekeeping. Tyler, do you want to talk about those?
Yeah.
I thought you was going to go, no.
No, fuck you, no.
How about no?
So, let's see. Are those your notes? Alright, so I got it. So we got your trolls. Trolls is a very I'm on the spot, words are hard. Trolls are a big big gatekeepers. They'll come into your streams or on your posts online, and they'll just they'll be dicks. They'll be big bitch babies.
Oh yeah.
Then there's the demanding of an excessive amount of knowledge about whatever the topic. Game, comic, general nerd culture. And there's also having high expectations. This is particularly done towards women. And there are higher expectations on women to, be good at a game. Otherwise, you're not a real gamer. And then there's our toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
there.
I would say a recent, nothing like big or major, but a form of gatekeeping that I saw this last weekend when the new Mortal Kombat movie came out, and everyone was watching Mortal Kombat because it was awesome. So one of my Facebook friends posted Mortal Kombat was lit, which it was, and somebody commented on it. It was like, you're not a real Mortal Kombat fan if you think that. I had to watch the old movies to make myself feel better after watching the new one. And then there's just a bunch of shit on Twitter about people being upset about the new Mortal Kombat movie. It's like, it's Mortal Kombat with today's technology. And it looks awesome.
The only good thing about the 1995 Mortal Kombat was Christopher Lambert as Raiden, and that was about it for me. That's the only thing I remember, because I like his voice, and I thought he suited the part really well, and that was it.
Other than that, it was a generally just not good movie, because not because Mortal Kombat's a bad series or anything, it just wasn't made well.
Yeah,
that's literally it.
It's
so,
like it's one of
let's be honest.
It's one of those things that it's so bad that you want to watch it to laugh at it.
Well, let's be honest. A lot of the fighting game movies have not been made very well. All of the Street Fighter movies.
There's Street Fighter movies?
What are you on about? Bit of Kylie Minogue and Jean-Claude? Come on.
No, I'm not saying...
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's entertaining, but it's not good. It is not a good movie. I mean,
who watches
Jean-Claude Van Damme being in a Street Fighter movie was the reason why Mortal Kombat wasn't a Jean-Claude Van Damme fighting game.
We don't watch these movies for the story. We just want to see the fighting.
I think people are overthinking a fighting game.
Yeah.
Expecting some deep, I don't know, World of Warcraft lore or something going on in it. Let's be honest, I remember I played the first Mortal Kombat. I was underage. I shouldn't have been playing it, but I was.
Yeah. We all have those games.
And I remember the only thing I was interested, the only thing that got me going about the original Mortal Kombat was the fact that when I punched somebody, blood came out. That's why I wanted to play it. Yeah. That was it. That was all it was. It was. It was like, oh my god, look at this beat 'em up, and they all die.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Violence for violence sake. Sometimes that's
just me.
That's all. That's what this film is really. It's a good watch. It's what I call when I watch these sorts of films, they're shit good. You don't need to turn on your brain. You just go, let's watch them fighting. It's great.
Yeah. It's like Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, yes. That's what I was just about to say.
I love that. I love all the Godzilla films, all the latest Godzilla films, and the Kong films, because I watched them all leading up to this because I'm a bit of a nerd for that. I like King Kong and Godzilla. It's amazing.
That's fine.
I watch them, and I'll watch them, and I will make Ashley watch them, right? And I'll say, watch these because these are good, because they're just shit good. And it's just easy watching, isn't it? That's what it's about.
Big monster destroy things. Yes.
Yes.
I was entertained by the new Street Fighter movie, the one with Chun-Li. I was entertained with it. It was an interesting story, at least.
I don't think I've watched that one yet.
It was it was decent. I guess not a good movie, but it was entertaining to watch.
My favorite garbage movie to point at every time someone, excuse me, Mr. Motorcycle Person, I'm sorry about your genitals. But my favorite garbage movie to point at every time someone tries to be like, oh, this video game movie was bad, it doesn't matter if it was like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Warcraft or whatever. I always point to the original Mario movie.
Oh yeah.
And just be like, be thankful
It's
we
not
didn't get
that.
this again.
Be thankful it wasn't that.
Like, we cyberbullied an entire studio into making the Sonic movie look better. Everything else is fine about it because none of it got changed. It was just Sonic's model was garbage. And so we cyberbullied them into a better one.
That movie, I got to actually see that. I got to see that recently. That movie has no right being as good as it is. It is.
It's one of those movies.
That's what
Good.
I say about the music in Call of Duty.
It is fantastic. If you ever get a chance to watch the Sonic movie,
Do it.
it is
I
really
plan
good.
on it.
I realized, so Brian and I saw it opening day in the theater, and
Ooh.
then we found out that his best friend hadn't seen it. Like, I think it was last weekend, and we're like, we need to watch. You need to see Sonic because they both grew up. They were Sonic. I was Mario. He was Sonic. And so we actually watched it somewhat recently, and then I realized we haven't watched it for a community movie night.
Yes, please, Beth.
I'm down.
I was gonna say you actually need to be in GTGS to see it.
Yeah, what are you doing? Get in our GSG Discord.
I lurk in a million Discords, okay? I'm just gonna lurk in that one too.
That's fine. You
Okay.
can still join us for movie night.
I'm just a perpetual ghost,
Once a month.
okay?
If there's a movie that you're interested, if it's a movie that I think you'll want to see, I'll drag you in. I'll just be like, hey, look, this is our movie this week or month.
Okay. I'll see if I can watch it without
Okay.
headphones, so that way Zodi can watch it too, because I know she was interested in Sonic as well. I'm just interested in the very well done Eggman, who is also
Jim
very
Carrey
on
was
screen.
Oh my god, Jim Carrey's Eggman was fantastic. Also, we have confirmed Tails for next movie.
Yes.
Yes, I saw.
Yes.
And Knuckles. So it's not
it was
Sonic
Tails
2.
when that first came out originally. Oh god.
It's not just Sonic 2. We have to call it contractually Sonic 2 and Knuckles.
And Tails, not Knuckles.
No, it's and
Knuckles is gonna be in
because
it
they
too.
added Knuckles as an extra on Sonic 2.
Oh, okay. We got off topic again.
Speaking of knowing
We
way
have.
too much knowledge,
Anyway, gatekeeping.
series.
Yeah,
Gatekeeping.
gatekeeping.
Anyway.
Okay, so we've all experienced some form of gatekeeping with trolls and streams. I know you've experienced it too, Data.
Oh yeah.
But we started talking about a scale in the last GTGS podcast episode. I'm still very proud of this scale because it is a good scale for talking about your gatekeeping experiences.
Triple
Oh,
B.
man.
So you have it's called the triple B scale. Let me preface it as you can say it can be as joking as you want, or it can be as serious as you want.
Mhm.
You can take it either way. Oh, here on my back, itchy. So you have your Bs, your babies. So B, baby. They're kind of toxic people. They're not the greatest to spend time with. Generally, you wouldn't want to play more than one game with them. They're not terrible. They're overall not terrible.
Mhm.
You have your double Bs or your bitch babies. They are your typical alpha male-ish guy or girl.
They can't.
Non-
Gatekeeping
it's
has no
not
gender.
gendered. It's not gendered.
Being a terrible person is not a gendered thing.
Oh, hi again, Justice. You're back in the office again. Your typical alpha personality. You don't really want to be around them. Again, this is a person that you may not. If you're in a game with them and you start listening, if you're in comms with them, you're going to probably either mute comms, or if it's really getting annoying, you might leave the game completely under those kind of circumstances. And then there's your triple Bs. Your big bitch babies.
Ooh.
These are classic toxic gamer. So you're not a real gamer. female gamers are a myth.
Get back in the kitchen.
Get back in the kitchen.
Oh.
No, I mean, these are all terms that you'll hear from a lot of AMAB, assigned male at birth gamers. Mm-hmm. But that's not to say that you can't hear it from female gamers, too. These are just the worst of the worst when it comes to gatekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
Beth, I know you've got a couple of stories that you can...
As someone that has grown up with a nerd dad, I have had many experiences, but also I've gotten so desensitized to them that they just kind of roll off my back all the time. None of these really affect me, but I did have one that infuriated me, and I was working with this guy at GameStop, my first job. So this, I would say, is a double B, only because he knew female gamers weren't a myth because his boss was a woman. A lesbian at that, and I love her to death, and I'm very sad that she moved away to Ohio with her partner, but I'm very happy for that. But my first day working with this guy, I had been warned by the other games assistants or GAs. I had been warned, and these guys actually looked like your typical, like, alpha male types, where they were not so... They were, like, bigger, looked more like your dad, looked like they lived in your mom's basement, stuff like that. But this guy was very unassuming. He looked around mid-20s, early mid-20s. I don't remember his name, but I
put him on blast anyway.
I haven't remembered his name since I left GameStop, so it's been a hot minute since I remembered. But this guy, he was very opinionated. He was one of those guys that was like, "Oh, you haven't played games until you played JRPGs." He was one of those guys.
Ah, yes.
And
what is that?
Japanese RPG
roleplay games.
Like
Final Fantasy,
they're strictly Japanese made.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy is like the big JRPG. Another one is Kingdom Hearts.
JRPGs?
Yeah, those count. Yeah.
I think Monster Hunter is JRPG too.
Yeah.
Which one?
Monster Hunter?
Monster Hunter. But I had gotten really into Resident Evil at the time. I had been into Resident Evil since high school, but this was when I was actually finally able to buy my first Resident Evil game by myself with my own money. And I had just started playing it, and it was Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Not a canon game, but it takes place at about the same time as Resident Evil 2, and you're playing as this other team. But it gives Hunk a little bit more screen time. It gives you these extra side characters to get attached to. I really liked it. I had fun. The gameplay was great. The storyline, while basic and predictable, was still tons of fun to experience. And I just generally liked it. So I had the opinion, and still have the opinion, that it's a fun game. And because it's fun, it's a good game, in my opinion. And so this guy, this fucking guy, was like, "Oh, you're not a real Resident Evil fan if you like a non-canon game." And I'm just sitting here like, how many non-canon games are in Resident Evil? This is, like, not the only one. It's just the biggest one because it's the most available. It's not just restricted to the Game Boy. Nor is it, like, a play that's only in Japan. Because they have those, and those are canon too. I just was sitting there dumbfounded for my entire shift. Because I was like, this guy thinks that I'm not a real gamer because I bought a game with my own money, played it on my own systems, and genuinely enjoyed it. What? Huh?
How dare you enjoy a game that you bought?
Yeah. How dare I enjoy a game that I bought and like the characters so much that I want to cosplay them? Like, that's how bad it got. And I was working with this guy. He wasn't even just like a customer or anything. I was forced to work with this guy for money. It was awful.
Do you think like that's that for me? That's like it's kind of like somebody doesn't know how to communicate, how to say you liked that. That's good. It's not like there's a way you communicate that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and you rather than being all I'm a know-it-all. Listen to me. I'm the big I am. That's not the right thing to play. You could have gone. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Have you tried these? These are more canon. Yeah. If you really like that, you're gonna love these. Do you know what I mean? Like, and get you involved rather than putting you down.
Yeah, and I had just finished Resident Evil 5 at the time as well, and I was very sad about Wesker's death. I still am, and I'm hoping that he's the killer in Dead by Daylight just because of that. But it was still just upsetting that this guy that I was working with, that was hired to recommend games to people like me who had enjoyed a game and then want more, that he was just going to have that opinion. And I saw him treating customers like that as well. It was awful. Yeah. And I left before he did, so...
How did he not get fired for treating customers like that?
You would think. You would think, but it's GameStop, so who cares?
I kind of want to sidetrack us and talk about RE8, but we've already been sidetracked a lot.
Not yet. Not yet.
So when we get to a point where we get games, I've actually played the first ones of all of them, like years ago. Well, like I played the first Resident Evil and I played the first Silent Hill.
And we got sidetracked anyway.
Yeah, and that's it. And I've never got into the seconds or the thirds or the, you know, like it's really weird. Like I think what happened to me basically is I discovered this Counter-Strike and everything. Nothing else mattered after that. Like,
that's fine. I mean, if anything, there's novels that portray the same thing that happened in the games. It's the same thing with Halo, except for Halo's novels went off the rails.
I played the first Halo for a little while. Never really liked Halo. It's really weird for me. Just didn't grab me. And like, obviously, I know loads of people that love it. It just never grabbed me. It's really weird. Like, and I know loads of people are really mad about it. I'm like, how? Why did this never grab me? This game? And I think it is. It's just simply like I just wanted to play Dust 2 all day.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. And I mean,
not every game is made for everyone. No. You have to realize that. Same thing with movies, books, literally anything that's made and consumed is not made for everyone.
Right.
As much as the rating system likes to say, a Mario game is rated E for everyone, it is not. Not everyone wants to play a Mario game.
And that's okay.
That's fine. But now, I had another... gatekeeping moment. This one with Zodiac, my fiance. It was at what?
Was this at a con or?
This was at a con. Yes.
Okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that then. Yeah. Because we're going to start talking about the real world examples of gatekeeping. Oh, yeah. The primary one that every female, or I can't say every female gamer knows this, but it was...
Or at least aware.
Every gamer knows the term Gamergate. You'll have a bunch of different reactions throughout the entire gaming sphere, based on how aware you were of Gamergate and what happened with Gamergate. And then you'll have the people who are just like, that's not a real thing, they're all making it up. You'll have those too, but it's just Gamergate was a massive thing that happened, and that was 2015. Actually, I think it started before that because I remember seeing something about it in high school almost. I think.
Yeah, technically it started in like 2012, but it really reached its height in 2015.
College.
Yeah.
College for me, high school for you.
Yeah. Barely high school for me, but still high school.
Yeah. But yeah, Gamergate's one of those ones that, when you hear gatekeeping, generally the thing that gets associated with it quicker than anything else is Gamergate.
We love our tinfoil hat wearers that like to deny that it happened, but...
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to tell you something.
Go for it.
I was kind of aware, but not really.
No?
So when we talked the other week, I had to go read.
Yeah.
I think I was that oblivious, like during this period, that all I did was like within the same circle of friends. On back then was Ventrilo, then TeamSpeak. I can't remember, or the other way around. I can't remember now.
Right.
We'd go to, and I went to a lot of LANs like during that period, a lot of LANs, and I think I was just that unaware of what's going on around me because I was so like just doing what I was doing. Yeah. Even and it's really weird because then looking back at it, and I was trying to think, did we talk about it when we were in voice comms or at LAN? Did we talk about this? I can't remember. Like, and I've got friends that are more worldly, I'd consider, than I am as well, and older than me. Like some of the guys I play Valorant with now that we've known each other, they're rolling on 50 now. You know, like we've known each other a long time. And I was thinking, did they talk about it? And I could remember. So I had to go, and I remember hearing about different bits and bobs. And I consider myself, it sounds really weird, but quite lucky that I haven't experienced a lot of things like that. When I hear what other people have gone through, like it annoys me a little bit. And I'm annoyed that I didn't know about it then or wasn't aware of it. Maybe it was my age as well, that I was just a little bit more immature and didn't see it, you know? And I consider myself quite lucky in that respect, but also I feel quite stupid because I wasn't aware. It's weird. So like when you talk about this, and especially that Gamergate thing where it was massive, and I was like, where the fuck was I? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's really weird. So I had to go read about it. It's really strange.
I actually feel that because I'm so used to, from growing up as a girl gamer, literally, my mom taught me how to roll dice and hold a controller when I was like 7. So I've been in this community for almost all my life, and because I'm so used to being gatekept, that I was unaware of what Gamergate was until the height of it in 2015 when everyone was being like, hey, what the fuck is going on? And then I was like, wait, hold up, what? I was also I was so stuck in my own corner of the internet and gaming that I didn't know what was going on until it blew up on Twitter, essentially.
Yeah. Gamergate is one of those things, and actually, Data, what did you think now that you've actually read about it?
You know what? You're going to have to refresh me because I've read about it, but it was 2 weeks ago. And I've had a lot going on since then. And I scanned, all right? I didn't...
Yeah, and also for our viewers, could we explain what it was in case they were unaware of it?
So, Gamergate, and I need to pull it up. I know Gamergate, my brain knows it, and unfortunately my brain kind of... A lot does go on in our lives because we're all in our mid to late 20s or in our late 30s. So we have a thing called a very hectic life. So
busy adults with busy lives.
Anything that we may know kind of goes out the window as our own lives take over. But Gamergate was a thing where a lot of female gamers and a lot of female gaming journalists were being essentially driven out. They were trying to drive them out of the gaming sphere. And I'm going to Wikipedia because Wikipedia is also a good source, despite what a lot of teachers think, because it is very heavily edited. It is very heavily moderated too. So what information you see is usually researched heavily. So the way that Wikipedia phrases it, they call it the Gamergate controversy. It concerned an online harassment campaign primarily conducted through the use of the hashtag Gamergate that centered on issues of sexism and anti-progressivism in video game culture. Gamergate is used as a blanket term for the controversy, as well as for the harassment campaign and actions of those participating in it. In 2014, there was a harassment campaign targeting game developers Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu, as well as Anita Sarkeesian, which is a feminist media critic. There was a big thing with... Anita Sarkeesian was actually the only one I'd heard of at the time that I was following Gamergate. And the harassment campaigns for Quinn and I'm guessing Wu and Sarkeesian as well included doxing, threats of rape, and death threats as well.
We love that.
Don't we, though? So, they're Gamergate proponents, Gamergaters, as they like to call themselves apparently, have stated that they were a movement but had no official leaders or manifesto. Gamergate supporters organized anonymously or pseudonymously, I hate words like that sometimes, on online platforms such as 4chan, IRC chat rooms, Twitter, and Reddit.
Why am I not surprised that 4chan is in on this?
4chan's where it started, most likely. Statements claiming to represent Gamergate have been inconsistent, making it difficult for commentators to identify goals or motives. Gamergate supporters said that there was unethical collusion between press and feminists, progressives, and social critics. These concerns have been dismissed by commentators as trivial conspiracy theories, groundless, or unrelated to actual issues of ethics. As a result, Gamergate has often been defined by the harassment its supporters engaged in. Gamergate supporters have frequently responded to this by denying that the harassment took place, or falsely claiming that it was manufactured by the victims. That is, in a nutshell, what Gamergate was at its height.
Yeah.
It was primarily harassment campaign directed towards several female game developers and media critics, like Sarkazian, which hers was the biggest storm. I'm sure, I don't know, I mean, it would say something if that's the one that I remember most. Because I didn't hear of Quinn or Wu at the time, at least. But yeah, so if you weren't aware, if the viewers weren't aware, now they are. A very interesting topic.
So when I look at the timeline for that, it interests me more than anything, because for me, it seemed like, because I played Counter-Strike from. I remember like mid 2000s, so 2005, and then I think I sort of stopped about 2010, 2011, like stopped playing so heavily. Number one, because I got ill, so I kind of went off it, and I ended up playing WoW because it was more relaxing when I came out of hospital, and then I never really got back into it after then. I got into it a little bit on and off, but that was kind of the end of me actually playing any meaningful CS anymore. And I played like CS:GO. I played on and off since it's been out, on and off a little bit. But it always interests me because during that period, like 2000, so say 2005, 2010, I would go to a lot of LANs, and there were female CS teams at these LANs. There were female players. I watched. Then you had, I think in 2008, 2009, you had the CGS, which died a death very quickly, which was called the Global Gaming Championships. And basically, what happened is a big franchise took up some of the pro teams, like Team 3D at the time, where Team 3D no longer exists, and you had Four Kings in the UK, which became London Mint. So basically, they took it over and they made. So I think the only one that survived is just Complexity, which is still a big esports team now. But at the time, they were called. I think they were like LA based or something. They were called LA Complexity or something. And basically what they did is they compiled the best. Each country kind of had its qualifiers to qualify to represent those teams at the games finals. And we had, like, there was one of the London Mint or the Birmingham Salvo players, she was like, I think it was Street Fighter at the time, was the beat 'em up series within that, was female. That represented the UK in one of the teams. There were female teams there, and it seems to me, and it was really weird because we never batted an eyelid either. Then that's what always blows my mind. Like we would sit like in these big sweaty rooms. There was 2,000 of us, in this big hallway, taking our PCs, sweating up, having pizzas delivered to our desks. From the local pizza company. We just sat up there.
Right.
Did bat an eyelid that there was some girls playing CS with us. They'd join in the tournament. There was some girls in different teams. I played with a girl. She was on my team for a while. Yeah. I haven't spoken to her ages, actually. It just made me think I might catch up. And then there were, but we never batted an eyelid. And it seems to me like maybe it's a growth thing as well. Maybe as esports and gaming has grown since then. It went for a period maybe between 2010 and 2020 where it's got up another level with the arrival of Twitch, and more people are aware, so more people think they have a voice on things that aren't really voiceable.
Right.
It's gone out of sync somewhere, and all of a sudden now people have an issue with it. I'm like, well, it was fine back then. That's what kind of blows my mind a little bit. Why was it okay then? Maybe because we were more sensible back then and we didn't care. We just wanted to play games.
I think I can tell you why, as someone that grew up in that time period. I think it's the forced diversity, as what they like to call it, where suddenly all these women not only were playing these games, they started making these games. And so because of that, the games started naturally getting more and more diverse, and the typically straight white cisgendered men were being like, hey, what the fuck? That's not the games that I grew up with. None of these games represent me. What the fuck? Even though they have decades and decades of games that have represented them for all that time and still do to this day, because the default is still a straight white cisgendered man in your character creators.
Despite the fact that women make up half of the gaming sphere, and more, if you're being completely honest, if you were to picture a generic person, do you know what their ethnicity would actually be? It sure as hell isn't white. Their ethnicity would actually be Chinese or Indian.
Yeah, because those two countries, those two
populations.
Yeah, not
we're the third
white
most
people.
populous country. We are the third most populous country, but we're also not a white nation.
No.
Anyway, but yeah, the big thing that Gamergate was, that to take away from it, was it's the progressive movement. It's the social justice part of it. It's making sure that everyone had a voice. So you were no longer just seeing straight white men in games. You were seeing women in games. Yes, there's still a disproportionate number of white female characters, and not as many BIPOC characters that are female, or male for that matter. But it's still, that's one of the things that was social, that women and the progressives were trying to change. They were trying to make it more inclusive to other people. That's one of the big things of Gamergate. That's one of the things that was making it a big deal, because people were like, hey, no, these are our games. These are games for us. You shouldn't, if you want to make games for them, don't put them out there. Just keep them in your own little weird corner.
Yeah.
That's so close-minded.
Oh, yeah. One of the games...
Just have variety in your life. Like, there's so much you can do. Like, I always look at, like, Valorant and CS, for example. Obviously, when you play CS, it's all male terrorists versus counter-terrorists. I believe that if they ever do, and they probably will at some point, do another Counter-Strike, when the inevitable magical Half-Life 3 might turn up one day, who knows, right? Or they'll do another Counter-Strike at some point. I can almost guarantee it. There will be female versions dressed up in army gear in those.
Oh yeah.
You look at Valorant, for example. Valorant's probably 50% now. I think female, male, in it. I don't even notice, to be fair. Again, maybe I'm just lucky and I just don't notice that shit. I don't know. Like, I just play the characters. Like, I've never have noticed that sort of thing.
Look at the new Call of Duties. Warzone. You can have an all-female team. What is it? Black Ops? Is that the new one again?
Cold War. Black Ops Cold War.
Cold War. Black Ops.
Yeah, Black Ops Cold War. You can have an all-female team because there's actually female characters.
Yeah, but the big one I saw was Wolfenstein, the newest one, where you're playing as two sisters.
Oh.
I didn't know that. That's neat.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
And actually,
I remember the outrage about that. Oh my god, it was.
There's the outrage about Grand Theft Auto 6 rumors anyway.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I would just never understand it. I would never understand why you would restrict yourself to limit into like one possible outcome or one emotional response, or like how it's. It's amazing. The world's incredible. There's loads of different people. Let them come. Like, just enjoy it.
I think it's because they're so used. I think it's because they're so used to being catered to, literally for hundreds and thousands of years in all types of media. They've always had that kind of representation, and so as soon as someone dares to think about changing it, it just has the thought, they're just screaming and crying and throwing these big bitch baby tantrums.
Yeah. And actually, something interesting that I read recently, you're aware, even if you've never played Breath of the Wild, you're aware that Link has an outfit that he can wear, an armor set that he can wear, that is female. He is passing female. The thing that Nintendo actually talked about with Link, Breath of the Wild Link specifically, and actually Ocarina of Time, is that in the case of Breath of the Wild Link, they are gender non-conforming. They have no binary. They are meant to represent androgyny completely.
I didn't know that.
Which is why, if you're running around in the Vi outfit, which is female Gerudo, and you talk to anyone, they will think you're female. They will address you as being female.
It's really cool.
Now, canonically, the pronouns that are used for Link are he, him, which, one step at a time. But also, because they actually went back with Breath of the Wild Link, they went back to what they did in Ocarina of Time. They designed Ocarina of Time Link to be gender neutral. Because they wanted boys and girls to be able to put themselves into that character, to enjoy that adventure, to be that character, feel connected to that character. So, canonically, despite having male pronouns, the Link in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Breath of the Wild are both gender neutral. They're gender non-conforming. So that's
canon. Link uses he, they pronouns.
Basically, yeah.
That's really cool, and it does tie in with why Link is mute, why Link doesn't really portray any characteristics. It's so that way the player can be Link.
They did go away from that with Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time Skyward Sword, because
I didn't play those two, so...
Link's voice is more masculine. He is portrayed as being more masculine. He's got a more masculine set to him. You can also hear a deeper voice with Twilight Princess Link and Skyward Sword Link. They are meant to sound more masculine, which is something that Nintendo has also said.
That's okay, right? Because it's just different.
Oh. No, yeah, I'm not saying it's not okay.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Along the same lines, that's okay. We can have it all. Have it all.
That's definitely okay. It's just like it's really neat that Nintendo actually did talk about that. It's just like, huh.
But I just remember there was because my dad and my sister are big fans of Mass Effect. I through osmosis, I learned everything about Mass Effect through them. I never actually touched the series myself, but I watched them play it so much, I basically played it myself. And I just remember the absolute outrage over there being the option of a female shepherd. I remember that, and the only thing that satisfied these people that were so up in arms about it was the fact that you could have female-female relationships with female shepherd. That was the only thing, and the only reason it was okay was because it was sexualized. God damn it. You can't have nice things.
Isn't it always, though?
Ugh. Although we did get the option, if you got the box, because I think this was like shortly before digital games became a thing, like only digital games. And I think I still have this too, somewhere, or my little sister has it, which is most likely what happened. You could actually, for the game cover, you could take it out and then switch it around, and it would be the female shepherd cover.
I love game covers like that.
Yeah, and my dad did that in almost all of the game covers that he had in his store, just because he was so, like, yes, my daughters can see themselves in a Mass Effect game, in a BioWare game. Like, my dad's just always been, like, confused, but he always has the right spirit.
I've got some...
That's a generational thing, isn't it, as well, yeah? Like, I think it's harder, like, because you're just institutionalized into a way of thinking. So it's always like, as long as you're, I think there's been sort of innocently ignorant, and then there's just being a dick.
So
About it. Yeah, I think there's two different ways. You can be innocent and ignorant, but be maybe willing to learn and accept.
Yeah.
Or you can just be a dick. I think there's two different ways. Like, I can accept that, like, you know, like, that's fine. But, you know, some part of it is I'm a little bit like that sometimes. Like, I need to sit here with Ark and go, what? So what's that one then? You know, and like I did a couple of weeks ago, I was like, so what does that one mean then? Because like it's a lot to take in.
Talk about gender and the LGBT.
It's mental. It's mental to me. I'm like, I need to understand because I want to know.
Well, that's fine. That's what my dad's been doing.
You want to be an ally, and that's a good thing. So you were talking about covers with Split Switch, right?
Yeah, I was. Something
neat that Assassin's Creed did, and I bless them for this, is that, as you know, in Valhalla you have the choice of male Eivor or female Eivor.
Yeah, they've been doing that since like what, Odyssey? Or Origins?
Odyssey.
They
were going to do it. They were going to do a plotline with the main character's wife, but they cut that and killed her off. I think. I don't remember if they actually killed her off, but either way, they cut the storyline. And then there's a whole thing with Odyssey that I can get into because we talked about that last episode too.
Ooh, I guess I should go watch that then.
You haven't done that yet?
No, I have not, which is sad. So I should fix that.
Well, it's on Spotify and it's on YouTube.
I'll send you the link for the Spotify. With Valhalla, though, they did something that was actually really unique. They had a third option. You can choose.
Ooh.
You can choose to have, the way they phrase it is that the Animus. How did they phrase it?
The Animus chooses whatever energy is stronger in that particular moment.
The data line, essentially. So you can choose a more male data line or a more female data line. Story's the same either way. Or you can choose a third option.
Ooh.
The data stream, not data line. The data stream, you can let the Animus choose the gender of character. You can let the Animus choose whether it's male Eivor or female Eivor. If the Animus actually chooses the female data stream most of the time, except for spoilered parts. We talked about that in the last episode too. But
I mean, it makes sense because Vikings were very open about that. I mean, look at the entire lore of Loki alone. Just that.
My patron's kind of a chaotic fuckstick.
That's kind of how that works, yeah.
Okay,
they're just like that.
They are. So this is the cover that comes on the game. Now, the neat thing about the cover, you know how most covers are just white on the inside-ish, or they have some other art? This is the cover art.
I love that.
Cool.
Nice.
I love that.
So it is the exact same cover art. Down to the line. I mean, this part appears different, but down to the line as the box cover art. So you can have the cover on your PS4 disc as the female Eivor, which is what I do anyway, because female Eivor is a babe.
We love inclusivity. But these gatekeepers don't.
And, well, we know that.
Trying to transition back to topic.
I mean, we were still on topic. We were still on topic-ish. Okay.
Trying to transition into the notes. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay, but, so, and just like with gaming gatekeepers, there's also gatekeepers at conventions.
Yeah.
A lot. Excuse me. So
this will be. I've never been, so I'm just going to listen.
It's like your LAN parties. There actually are game rooms in in conventions that can be for LAN parties. It's just like that, but expanded to most of a hotel lobby and convention center. And it includes people in costume. It's like a combination of whatever's going on in E3 and a LAN party, essentially.
More or less.
If you watch like early G4, you'll get a good idea of conventions, because G4 is what brought conventions to the public eye, and before the internet was a thing.
I miss G4. G4 was fun. So
well, they're fun now because they're on YouTube.
Yeah. A big thing with conventions that a lot of female cosplayers experience, I'm sure male cosplayers experience it too, and non-binary cosplayers, but, you know, sticking to the binary because that's how the fucking world works right now.
That's how the big bitch babies work.
Yeah. A lot of the thing that female cosplayers experience is that if they're not aware of the history, all of the stuff about a character that they are cosplaying, they are looked down upon and seen as nothing but a booth babe. Booth babes are not generally a thing at most anime conventions. Gaming conventions like E3 or BlizzCon or any strictly gaming, and those aren't even really conventions. Those are conferences.
Expos.
They're expos. They're conferences. Those are strictly they're specifically to show off the next big thing with gaming, the latest games, what's coming up in the next few years. Mm-hmm. There are booth babes, but they're still fucking gamers. They may not choose to be the character that they're cosplaying, so they really don't have a choice in what they're wearing, and so they may not know anything about that character.
But usually those costumes are sponsored, and usually the sponsors give them hints on what the character is and what the character would do at the very least.
That's true. They are designed. I say they are designed. They are specifically picked because they look like that character in facial features and body type, and they are told how they are meant to act fully in character. Mm-hmm. They are meant to be that character in real life. They give them acting directions, essentially.
Yeah.
They will walk around conventions doing that part to kind of drag people over to their booths.
It's the sexy version of what Disney character actors do, essentially.
Essentially. You can see that at a lot of con shows, too. Mm-hmm. People who work for, or who audition for shows at cons, and they do everything they can to get as close to character as possible, and they will act in character the entire con. We have quite a few friends that have done that.
Yeah, we do.
But if they're not, and going back to the gatekeeping aspect, if someone is just cosplaying a character for fun, and they may not know a small single little detail, they will be called out.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because of gatekeeping. It's mostly because they will look at the person that's dressed as a character. I'll take from my own experience on this one, which oddly enough is not the gatekeeping story, because I wasn't gatekept while I was in this cosplay. I just was in this cosplay. Mm-hmm. I know next to nothing about Kingdom Hearts. As many times as people will explain it to me, I know next to nothing about it, because instead of playing Kingdom Hearts growing up, I played Halo. So
I know this story.
Ark knows this. We had a group of friends that wanted to put together a Kingdom Hearts panel. And I was like, okay, well, if you guys need any backups of characters that have, like, no personality, and I can just run with them, I'm okay with that. And so they did, and I still have the Kairi cosplay in my closet. So I cosplayed Kairi, and I know nothing about her. And the funny thing is, there's nothing to know about her, except that she's bubbly and friendly, which I could do.
That's basic, but yes.
But, so I was expecting to be gatekept in this cosplay, because I knew nothing. I was not in character at all, except for the panel that we did. And even then, apparently, me not being in character was me being in character. But because of that, like people would have gone up to me as Kairi and quizzed me, drilled me on Kingdom Hearts. I know nothing about it, so I would have pointed to, like, our other characters that I don't know the names of right now because I'm on the spot. Put myself there, honestly. So
How
my
dare
bad.
you?
But I would have pointed to everyone else, and the person questioning me would have deemed me not a real Kingdom Hearts fan. Even though I say that I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan, I just like the fact that there's more content for Alice in Wonderland and Halloween Town, and that's it.
Which, I mean, to be fair, I will, as shitty as our convention scene is, I will give our convention scene this. We don't generally have a lot of gatekeepers. Now, even
enough. As drama-filled as they are.
Like I said, as shitty as our con scene can be. Even at our biggest cons, like MegaCon, which actually is more of an expo than a convention.
When they announce that, they go, MegaCon.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Metro.
Megatron in my head then, Transformers.
I think they did that.
They probably did. MegaCon, MetroCon, SuperCon. All of those are the 3 biggest conventions in Florida. And I've never been to SuperCon, but I've been to MegaCon and I've been to MetroCon. Even there, those big cons, I've never even heard of gatekeeping at any of those. And I think I can speak for you too, Beth, when you've never heard it either.
I've only experienced it once, and it wasn't even at me, and this is the story that I was talking about. Zodiac Siren was with me at a convention, and I was in a very comfortable cosplay. I don't remember which one. I think I was actually in my Edgar the Cow cosplay, which hasn't aged very well. But she was just wearing, like, a Deadpool shirt or something. Yeah, it was a Deadpool shirt. And we had this guy come up to us and drill Nick, or Zodiac, on Deadpool. And she just looked at this guy and pointed at me. And I answered every question as soon as they were asked. And more, because this was this fake fanboy who only knew Deadpool as buff, shooty guy and not a heartfelt pansexual man that's in love with Spider-Man and other Deadpools.
And Lady Death.
And Lady Death. And a lot of things, which honestly can relate because I am a pan with a big heart. But the only real instance of gatekeeping outside of GameStop that I've encountered in the convention scene it wasn't even at any of our gamer or anime conventions or comic book conventions. It was at Spooky Empire when I was in 9th grade. Which Spooky Empire is a completely different convention circuit altogether. It's for horror things like horror games, horror movies, horror comics, and all that. Which is why barely anyone that goes to, like, MetroCon or MegaCon or SuperCon goes to those. Like, it's one or the other. I'm one of the few rare ones that goes to both.
Lay down, Diamond. Right. And that's where and that's the thing, is like certain con circuits, like the bigger the con is, the more likelihood that you will probably see some form of gatekeeping. Colossal Con's probably a big one for that. KatsuCon. I don't know about Dragon Con, to be honest, but probably Dragon Con.
It probably happens there, but it's such a big convention that no one really documents it.
Otakon.
And anyone that does.
Yeah. Otakon, Anime Expo, but all of those you'd probably hear of gatekeeping. And gatekeeping in the form of, say, looking at someone who's dressed in a cosplay and thinking, you shouldn't cosplay English, I can do that. You shouldn't cosplay that character because you're not right for that character. Like,
yeah.
That's just weird, that, isn't it? Because do you think Robert Downey Jr. knew anything about Iron Man before he stepped in the suit in 2008?
Probably not.
But yeah, he probably does now because he's probably thought, it's quite interesting, I'll probably read it. But the first time in 2008, do you think he went, oh yeah, I'll do Iron Man, I love Iron Man, I've been reading that all my life?
Yeah,
Probably.
And nobody went to him. Oh, you can't be Iron Man. You don't know nothing about it. Like, you
Yeah.
know, he was celebrated as being a really good Iron Man.
The only actor in the Marvel universe that I can attest to knowing their character before they played it was Ryan Reynolds, because he was in Blade 3, Blade Trinity, and it was, but because of it, they were like, hey, you're playing this character that has next to no characterization or character development in the comics, so here, read this instead. He acts very similar to him, and they handed him a stack of Deadpool comics, and that's... If it wasn't for Blade Trinity, we wouldn't have had Deadpool. That's the short story.
I always forget that it's him in that, because it's so bad.
It's also why he left Wolverine Origins. Because of because what they did to Deadpool.
Yeah. That's why I liked the ending of Deadpool 2.
Everything at the end of Deadpool 2 is canon.
Good.
There is a difference, though, with... I mean, it's bad enough when someone talks to you and asks and says you shouldn't cosplay this character because you don't know anything about them. It's even worse when you look at someone in a costume and say you shouldn't cosplay this character because you don't look like them. Examples of that are any black cosplayer that is cosplaying for someone anime. There are black Hinata cosplayers who said you shouldn't cosplay Hinata because you're black. Someone who's overweight shouldn't cosplay XYZ because most people in anime are thin and wigs, essentially. But someone who's overweight or fat cosplaying someone that's an anime character, they get ridiculed immediately.
Do you think those people that are doing that, though, for that reason, say because you're a different colour or different body shape or whatever, they're generally like that in life? Like,
it feels like they are.
I think X person in a costume that necessarily isn't perfect, and they're doing it because they want to do it and because it's fun, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse for them to expand on their natural ability to just be knobheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in general, you know, they probably look at somebody wearing the wrong shorts down the street. They're just arseholes.
Yes, they are.
You know? Like, I dressed up as Johnny Depp as, like, years ago in, what is it called? Oh, my God. Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't look like anything like Johnny Depp, you know? Like in Pirates of the Caribbean, dressed up as a pirate. I looked good, it looked fun. But I didn't expect to walk out the door going, now I'm Johnny Depp. Hey! You know? Like...
Yeah, it's also like a reason. It's an excuse for them to expand on their racism and fat phobia.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that these people who act like this towards cosplayers, and it's not just at conventions. It's on TikTok and Instagram as well. It's anywhere that on social media. When they see someone in a cosplay, they expect to be immersed. They expect them to fit their ideal.
Yeah.
They don't care about they don't care about the person. They want, if they see it as you're cosplaying for me. You're cosplaying or to me. And it's just like any cosplayer that's on TikTok. It's like, cosplay this. When are you gonna cosplay this again?
Yeah.
When are you gonna XYZ again?
I think my favorite instance of that was Ark, you'll remember this at the very least. I know you will. There was a Homestuck cosplayer that said that he was the canon Jake English. Like, he was actual Jake English.
Yeah, I remember him.
It was so just weird seeing it, because out of all of the fandoms that I have been in personally, Homestuck was one of the most accepting of BIPOC and queer people just being these characters, and you didn't even have to like professionally cosplay. You could just buy these t-shirts online and essentially you were cosplaying the character just as a human.
Yeah, I remember
which
him.
I still have 2 of those.
I actually still have some of them in my black trunk.
No, I actively wear them because they still fit my goth aesthetic. So
I haven't pulled the stuff out of my trunk in a while, but I need to look at it again, see what I've got.
Yikes!
I think it's actually Kanaya stuff. I'm not a Kanaya, but
But I just remember, like, out of all of the communities that, like, have those kinds of people, I'm even seeing it happen on TikTok currently, because one of the people that I followed for her Claudette cosplay from Dead by Daylight, she's also cosplaying Junko from Danganronpa. And her Junko is amazing! It's gorgeous! I love it! But there are so many people that are like, you're black, why are you doing this? She's obviously a white person, and I'm just sitting here like, this is an anime that takes place in Japan. She's not even white. She's Asian. That's like, these people's racism knows no bounds, because they think that that automatically a character that doesn't have a slightly darker than their skin tone is white, not, you know, that Asian people could potentially have that skin tone.
Like,
it's so wild to me.
If there's and for the most part, anime generally takes place in Japan or in a fantasy world.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, without insulting anybody, it's a cartoon. They could be whatever color they want to be. Fuck off.
Right.
I'd accept it, but I'd be a little more understanding to these fuckheads if, like, the character was American. I might be a little more accepting of that. But
yeah, the only anime that I am accepting of the fact that it's a majority white cast is Black Butler, because it takes place in England, like Victorian England.
And even then,
there is no excuse.
I mean, we have that program now, don't we? Where we got there's
Bridgerton.
Yeah, there's black people of privilege in that, you know, like the time it's based in, you just wouldn't. No way.
But Hamilton
moves on. You know, if they're good at playing the fucking character, you're good at playing the character. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
I watched. I forgot after about 2 minutes. I don't care.
It's like.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, with The Cursed Child, and when they were, I know, in my mind that book is not canon.
It's not canon.
It's fine. You're good.
But
I haven't read it because I don't want to give her money, but that's fine.
I read it before all of that came out about her, or before I was aware of it.
That's fine.
At least.
But that's fine. We all make mistakes.
It's true. When they were finding someone to cast Hermione in the play.
Yes, I remember this.
They got a black woman to play Hermione, and so many people were so upset. Even though even before that, a lot of people, like, that's how they envision Hermione. Some people envision Harry as Indian. Like, people envision these characters who are not specifically described as white, generally as their own race.
Which they're not described. Which
the magic of reading without pictures, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
And then,
as much as I hate this transphobe so fucking much, she did something right with those books.
Yeah.
Or in some cases. We're not going to talk about Cho Chang. We're not going to talk about her, because that's another.
That's a whole nother can of worms. But she did get something right by not stating the initial kids' races.
She didn't describe the characters' races. She said Harry has messy black hair and bright green eyes. Hermione has bushy brown hair. No, she didn't say anything about her eye color or her skin color. Ron is the only one that had any kind of hint to his race, because he even says somewhere, I think, that he's pasty as fuck and he's a redhead.
Yeah. Did you know Go on, sorry, finish.
No, that was it.
Oh, sorry. Popped in my head, things just pop in there. Do you know the original script for Alien in 1979? It's all surnames, Ripley, la-di-da-di-da.
Yeah.
Because they weren't gendered then when it was written. Ripley could have been male or female. They were all written as whatever they chose, whoever came in and did the part best. And I always find that mind-blowing. I was like, I only realised this the other year, and I thought, oh yeah. I was like, and I was thinking, that was 1979. You know, where they went, we'll just write this, and whoever comes in and auditions fits the part. That's it, you know?
Well,
I found that quite impressive.
That's the hilarious thing about the horror community is, way back in the 80s, there wasn't really any, like, real sexism or racism. Yes, there was the racist stereotype of the not white
Dies
character has to die first, but there were plenty of movies that actually broke that stereotype still within the 80s. Like, look at Nightmare on Elm Street. The black guy lived for the next, until the next movie at the very least. Friday the 13th, there was a black character that lived through the entire series and is willing to come back as an actor in the new one. But the thing with, like, most of those movies was they were written to not have those gendered characters. The only reason the final girl became a thing was because most of the people that took those roles were women.
So actually, because I watched Alien with Ashley recently, and she actually said it. When does this will be interesting? When does the black guy die? And I went, I actually can't remember, and he actually he's one of the last. He's like third from the end, I think. Like I was like, I can't actually remember, and he's definitely not first because I know who's first.
Everyone knows who's first. It's a very iconic scene.
Well, and I mean, the thing is, as much as people give Alien vs. Predator shit, they did something that probably was, I can't say was really groundbreaking at the time, but one of the main characters is a woman of color. And she's the one that survives the entire fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
And she is given a title of a warrior by the main predator.
Oh yeah. No, she's like assimilated into the predator culture. I remember the book that took place after that because it's one of the few books I actually read. Stay in school, kids.
Nobody's gonna losing this podcast.
It's fine. It's fine. But she was actually like assimilated into the culture. Like she like became a predator. It was really cool. And her being a person of color didn't really have anything to do with that. That was just they respected her as a warrior, nothing else.
I think that's kind of the magic of Ellen Ripley as well, isn't it? It's like they set a tone where you can do whatever you want now. You can have female, black, whatever now, whatever. We've set a tone with Sigourney Weaver and Ellen Ripley now. Go wild. Like people like laud Sigourney Weaver for that. Like that's just amazing. Like when what she went on to do after that was the second film as well. Like I think it allowed the rest of the franchise to do, have whoever then, and we almost expect it a little bit now, don't we, and accept it, like from that franchise, And
then, but I will say with the horror movie thing, I appreciate when these scary movies make reference to that whole disgusting trope, but the trope nonetheless. The black guy dies first. Like, I'm not going there. I know what happens. I know where my point is. You go.
The funny thing is, the scary movies were actually pointing out something that was happening in the horror community at the time. Was every horror movie at that point was trying to turn the tropes on their heads, and we still try to do that with horror today, which is really cool because then it's reflected in other things. Like it happens in the movies, so then it happens in the games, and then it happens in the comics, and then it happens in action comics, in slice of life comics, and then it happens in those games and in those movies. And it's like this never-ending cycle of trying to make things better. And then there's the gatekeepers that never saw this coming, even though they witnessed it. They just never absorbed it.
And that's the whole thing that Gamergate was about too. Because there was a sudden surge of social justice, of progressivism, when no, it's just been occurring, you just haven't been paying fucking attention.
Yeah, it doesn't help that these people are the same people that looked at us, that we were trying to find that representation. We were trying to find the characters that looked like us, that acted like us, that loved like us. And they basically said, go make it yourself. And then they were suddenly the Pikachu face meme when we did.
Yep. So, that brings us to our final thing, since we talked about Twitch earlier too. With Twitch's whole thing of trying to limit toxicity in gaming, or at least in the chats, limiting it by making it bannable to use certain words in certain ways. Which was to say that, like, simp, virgin, I never understood why virgin is considered
I
on
think
you,
because
and
people
it's-
use it as an insult.
Yeah,
Which is
it's
dumb,
it's
but-
been
Very
something-
90s insult, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It sounds like a very.
I think that's why it irritates me more. It's like, if you're going to use something, at least use something now. Like,
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna say, it sounds like a very 90s.
not only is
Oh,
not only is it horrible to do it, but it's also really shit.
yeah. A good example of that being used as an insult is the entirety of Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, that's true.
It's literally used
That is
throughout this
very
PG Disney movie.
That's true. Incel. I mean, incel is not really an insult. I mean, it is an insult, but it is an
If you
insult.
say that to me, I go, what does that mean? Because I can't remember.
It's
incel is an
involuntary
incel.
celibate. It's incels are people that don't get with other people
It's
in
the-
sexual manners.
Okay.
It's the whole thing of it's the friend zone thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is where the friend zone comes from.
He sees the girl. He say some dude sees a girl that he's friends with, but she goes and dates what he would call a Chad. Instead of him, he's a nice guy, but she's choosing to go with the asshole instead of him. He's therefore become involuntarily celibate because no woman wants to date him. Can't imagine why. It is an insult, but you know what? They bring it on them fucking selves.
Yeah, and a good example of this, oddly enough, is one of those big Minecraft YouTubers. Wilbur Soot has a song called Your New Boyfriend. It is a textbook example of incel thinking. It is a textbook example because it's from the perspective of a guy who is friends with a girl from when they were teenagers all the way up to they're now 26, or at least he's 26 in the song. And she's supposedly around his age. And he mentions that he's in her Twitch chat, but she has a boyfriend that he met that isn't him. And he's a Chad. And it's a great song. I highly recommend it. It's really catchy too.
It is really catchy, and it is a great example of if you want to see what an incel thinks like, just listen to that song.
Yeah.
And then of course, slut, bitch, and whore.
Yeah, which I like to think that as someone that uses those words, usually not in a derogatory manner, just because my language is fucking colorful as shit.
Welcome to the club.
I think out of all of these words, I feel like they had to include these words because they included virgin and incel as sluts or as insults. I read
sluts.
and
it's called context.
yeah,
It is.
they're trying to include everything just so that way the incels don't feel left out and Twitch zoned essentially.
Right, and
So,
the thing is,
it's adding those words to those words in a, so I suppose
in a
at one point,
derogatory context.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
they
if I jokingly call myself a simp for Pyramid Head, which is true,
But that's fine.
then if I say that as a joke, it's fine. But because they say in a derogatory manner, I'm gonna feel a little hesitant on using any of those words, even in a joking manner.
Right.
So while I do appreciate that they will review that context themselves, I don't want to know how many hundreds of thousands of hours are being streamed on Twitch at all times.
Too many.
Just like how there are, if I remember correctly, the updated statistic was 600 hours of content uploaded to YouTube every goddamn minute.
Yep.
Or something like that. I don't want to have that context be looked at by someone that's overworked and underpaid.
Okay, so that's not necessarily how it will go down. So
Okay.
So
Yeah,
what they're saying is say if me the streamer, right?
Mhm.
Let's, for example, and it comes down to that sort of. I suppose it comes down in the same way that like people objectify people sexually as well, right? So like say if I came into one of your streams and I started going, oh yeah, I'm simping on you. Oh yeah, I'm simping on you. First time's funny. Second time, pretty shit. Third time, oh my fucking god, shut the fuck up. Yeah. You could time them out or ban them, it's the same way you come and go, you're shit at the game, you're shit at the game, you're shit at the game. Yeah, it's the same context. They will only look at it if you report it. So that's where the context comes in. So as a streamer, you can go, I didn't like that, I'm going to report that person, because they're probably doing it in other streams as well. If you don't report it, they're not going to look at it. It won't suddenly come over it. It's just in their terminology, they've put it in the same terminology as fuck you, you're shit, twat, whatever. Yeah. So like, I think people like on Twitter went mental and go, oh my God, they've banned the word simp. They haven't banned the word simp. You can still type it. You can say it, because it can come up in a conversation if we're talking about it like we are now. Within Twitch, not going to ban the word, right? But, like,
it would be kind of hard for them to do.
If it's said in an insulting term, or a term that makes you feel uncomfortable, we will have a look at it and make a decision if you report it. Is basically in a nutshell.
I was swept up in the Twitter nonsense of they essentially banned these words.
No.
Yeah, it's like God, it was what? 2 months ago now, Timeless, when we were doing Kill Your Friends, and when Kiss was doing Vommy Mommy, when I was using when she was Vommy Mommy, because you know when you're killer, it's only courtesy to deafen and mute, so you don't hear strategy. Timeless can even say here, that words. Timeless can test whenever Kiss stabbed me. Because I was calling her whore or bitch, because like, you whore.
I mean, and like in Among Us, we had, it was a few months ago. We were playing with proximity chat, and so I'm just like going along, talking to myself, trying to do my task, and you're like, "Hey, Timeless, come here," and I was like, "Okay, cool," and you let me do my task, and then you killed me. Now I was just like, "You bitch."
I did do that. I remember that because it was funny.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I couldn't be mad.
I let her finish her task.
It's like, Art can't be the imposter. They let me do my task. And I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just kind of how they work.
I can be a good imposter.
Yeah. I'm a horrible imposter.
Can be.
I'm horrible at defending myself when I'm the imposter.
I just don't say anything, and people generally forget about me. Quite weird.
I don't say anything ever, and then everyone's like, "You're being too quiet. You're the imposter." Like, no, I'm always quiet.
That's how it is.
Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see any difference.
I'm just a bad imposter. So if I go like a whole session where I don't get imposter, I'm very happy.
I'm just a.
But that's how I am too, Dana. It's just like, if I'm an imposter, I just like, okay, and I'll point the finger. I will point the finger if I can feasibly get away with it.
Or I act dumb, like I don't know, where were you? I can't remember this map. I was over there doing something with leaves.
Yeah.
You know, like people just think, oh yeah, you don't know. Yeah,
the only time
they fall for it.
Being imposter is when we're doing hide and seek, because I don't
hide
have to lie.
Is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just work out who's good at lying. Really, it's quite like cynical that game. Really, it just works out who's full of shit all the time.
Oh yeah, bullshit. It's essentially the non-card game of bullshit.
Yeah, and as someone that is terrible at lying, I am honest to a fault. I am awful at imposter.
I can lie to my students.
Oh, even then I can't do it.
I can usually lie to my students. About little things.
But
that's it.
Yeah. That was really all of our notes, but does anyone have anything else that they want to add in based on the topics or anything that we've talked about tonight?
Not really.
No. I think we did good. I think we overdid it. I think we did good.
I mean, this is a very easy topic to talk about, especially when you have context. And you have
easy. We still spent a good 45 minutes off topic, which is pretty impressive.
Okay, but you're not going to be fully on topic the entire time, because that would make for a spring episode, and it would make it for a short episode of maybe almost 1 hour.
This isn't like a scientific study podcast. This is just friends chilling. That's essentially what this is. Yeah.
It's bullshitting talking about specific topics that can be very heavy, which is why this is an 18+ podcast.
Yes. Speaking of topics, do we have any idea of what we want our next topic to be?
TBD.
All right. TBD.
To be determined. Cool.
And also, part of our wrap-up, if anyone listening or watching, whether YouTube, Spotify, whatever, if you have any questions, either related to what we talked about here today or just anything you might like addressed in a future episode, leave a comment on the YouTube video or
the Twitter.
Or the Twitter. We've got a Girl Talk with Girl Spot Twitter, and we have a Girl Spot Gaming Twitter.
It is not a very active Twitter, but
we're trying.
If you get more
free accounts right now. Come on.
If you get more comments on the Twitter, then it'll be more active, and that's quite an incentive for the audience.
True.
That's a good point.
So find us on Twitter, YouTube, and I think so. The podcast is on Anchor, which links to the other locations of the podcast, but it also has a messaging feature. I noticed. I have not tried it. I'm not the one that.
On Anchor?
Yeah, Anchor.fm.
Oh, okay. Let me actually pull up what our Twitter is.
There's a messaging feature on Anchor, so you can message us there too. Ask us questions.
Can I add that obviously the majority of people stream on Twitch here, so all our Twitch links will be linked somewhere as well. So if you have any personal questions on any of the things today and you want more questions, then visit them on their streams when they are live. And they will also drop their schedule for you.
Yeah,
and
the links will be in the YouTube.
That is where you can actually find all of our Twitch handles because if you watch the Twitch video, or I'm sorry, not the Twitch video, the YouTube video, all of our pictures have our Twitch handles under them.
Woo! Yay!
So that Twitter, please work. It is slow. My computer is being very slow because, of course, it is because I have OBS open. Anyway,
boy howdy.
Twitter is at Girl Talk with Girl S1.
Okay.
Excellent.
So, if you want to hit us up at Twitter, you can add us at Girl Talk or at Girl Talk W Girls S1. It's a mouthful. And you can find us there. You can also just try and Google or go to Twitter's search engine and type in Girl Talk with Girl Spot because that is our name on there.
Yay!
Excellent.
With that being said, thank you so much for watching, so much for listening. We look forward to any questions or comments that you guys have. If you want to find any of us on Twitch, as Data said, you can just look at the YouTube video. Please don't do the Carmel Donson.
Also, make sure you're subscribed. Apparently, YouTube has been glitching out and unsubscribing people.
Right. If you're not already subscribed to the Girl Spot, if you're not already subscribed to
the Girl Spot Gaming YouTube channel, subscribe because not only are we uploading the podcasts there, but gameplay videos and compilations and other fun things that might.
Make sure you're following on Spotify too.
And Spotify.
Make sure you're following on Spotify. The other big thing, make sure you ring the bell if you're watching this on YouTube, so you can actually be notified for any videos that go up from Twitch or from YouTube.
I was trying to find a pencil so I could hit a glass.
Ding.
But not, because YouTube tends to suppress stuff like this, because YouTube doesn't want any negativity, even if we're just talking about it.
What was that about gatekeeping?
Are they being like that now, are they?
Oh, they've been like that for a while.
Yeah, one of the few reasons I left YouTube and came to Twitch.
Yeah.
Might have to suck it up next year.
I know.
What?
Go back to YouTube.
Anyway, once again,
see you on the tube.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tofu and Data for coming to hang out with us on the podcast tonight. Hopefully,
it's no
July
problem.
We'll have. I don't know who we're going to have for the guest yet, but we also don't know what our topic's going to be. But hopefully by that point, we will also have Kids back with us.
Yay.
I'm sure because she's a trooper.
I hope she has a swift recovery. Just physically drag her to a computer.
When is it, July? Yeah.
We will
maybe.
also be.
Yeah, you have to fly. Come across the pond.
July.
We will also, as soon as we have a topic decided, It will be posted on the Twitter. So if you're not already following the Twitter, just go ahead and go follow the Twitter so you can keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys one more time, and have a fantastic night.
Bye.
Bye.